afternoon, everybody. Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast fans. Today we have a very special episode of Monday Indie Mayhem. We have a friend, we have a guest, we have a co-host. We have the current Midwest Gaming Champion. We have the former NRW Tag Champion. We have Johnny Cass. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, other than feeling a little bit beat up. I got some rest over the weekend, but what a great time I had.
I'm sure we'll hear about that. I love your hat, man. Where can we get one of those hats? Those are pretty sick.
I wanted to try something new out that I don't think much anyone has done before. And I figured I'd try this out and see how well. I wasn't able to use this over the weekend because I was still waiting for it to get shipped to my house. And once I kind of get the feel and the hang of these hats, I'll have more in stock once I get more techie with it. This way, like anybody that wants to buy one, they can buy one, and I can show them how to use it.
Okay.
But be on the lookout.
Awesome, man. Love the new merch. I love the new. I love the. I think there were 8x10s or it looked like the Nintendo game that I think you had like 10 of them or whatever. Those are pretty sick.
Oh yeah, they were gone immediately. Like I couldn't believe. I wanted to try something like limited, I guess, at these cons. I wanted to make them special for people that actually go to the show and are interested in seeing what this wrestling is about at a gaming convention. And if you know me and you like wrestling, of course, you're going to have to expect to see me be there.
Absolutely. So we're going to talk about what conventions, gaming conventions, mean to Johnny Cass later on in the show. We're going to talk about the title that he currently holds for the Midwest Gaming Championship. And then we're going to talk about this big weekend that he had full of ups and downs and twists and turns, and you'll be able to share that story. But I want to talk about this. About 2 months ago, I think we were talking, and someone came to your locker room and you took your glove, and it was a big part of your how you got your power to do what you do in the ring, and someone took it. And then I couldn't help but notice about a month ago, you had a thing on your social medias that you got this glove back and you got a note that says "better than ever." Can you walk us through how that was part of your life going forward, and what does that mean to you by getting that back?
Right. So it happened on, I think, November 4th at the last MCW show that I was a part of. I had no idea where it went. I thought someone stole it, and I was trying to figure out who was around my bag last in the locker room. I talked to Jimmy Smooth about it. I talked to AMB about it. I talked to some of the other talent about it. They said they didn't see anyone or anyone suspicious or anyone near my stuff. And I got to thinking, I'm like, well, somebody had to have taken this. And I got told that someone it was in the letter that I found in my bag, that it was someone within the gaming industry that requested my glove so they can modify it to make it better.
Right.
And so I just took that with a grain of salt, and I'm like, all right, well, I'll give it a month or so to see what happens. Because other than that, then I'm going to have to start going around to like these like pawn shops or game stores or see if anybody may have sold it. And one night I opened up my door when I was getting ready to leave to go work my second job. Right there was a package, and my glove was in there. And as you said earlier, there was a note, and it said it was better than ever. So I figured I'd tinker around with it. I took it apart, and of course there was new wires, or it was rewired with new wires. And I took a picture of that, posted it on my social media, and I said, maybe this might be a better outcome because this could possibly benefit me in certain ways.
Right.
And there was also another glove that was sent to me that I didn't really post because I thought it was just a standard glove. And this glove is connected in some way, shape, or form with the power glove to where it lights the whole thing up, which is really cool.
Wow.
You'll be seeing that in the upcoming NRW show / EveryCon when my match gets put up there on YouTube. Just search NRW wrestling and it should show like a purple Wisconsin State / NRW logo on it on YouTube, and then subscribe so you guys don't miss out on any of the action from me or any of the other super talented wrestlers.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that, man. As you can tell by the hat, and as I know you as a friend, you're a big gamer, and that's awesome. And this is what is going on in Johnny Cass's world here in the next 3 or 4 months. So, yeah, we're in top. But there's EverCon you can see there. There's Midwest Gaming Classic. So we got all that happening in Johnny Cass's world. And can you talk about the EverCon? That was where you were just at, correct?
That is right. It was in Rothschild, Wisconsin. And it was, I guess this gaming con has been going on for a while, and I had no idea it existed until last year when I talked to the guy that runs and owns Midwest Gaming Classic, and he's like, yeah, they have wrestling out there too. And it got me curious, and I was going to reach out, but then before I was going to reach out, I ended up getting an email from Red, the promoter that runs the wrestling show out at EverCon, and he talked to me a little bit about how he noticed me at Midwest Gaming Classic, and he was already in talks with bringing me in. He just had to make sure everything was in order on his end to bring me up there this year. And lo and behold, I was there the whole weekend besides Sunday because I was too beat up. But yeah, I got offered. I was in talks with Red about having a match there, and I got offered to team up with this man known as Hot Rod Daddy Andy. And after getting to know him a little bit and what he was about, I couldn't find a better perfect fit for myself for a tag team partner, because this dude represents pretty much, well, he represents himself in kind of like the similar way as I do.
Okay.
He also has a power glove, but it's modified to fit his personality and similarities in with mine. And with that together, we were unstoppable. Friday night, we proved that in the ring at NRW / EverCon.
Wow. So here's the thing that we're showing. So here's Johnny Cass and all where he's going to be, Midwest Gaming Classic, EverCon. He does have he's current champion of the Midwest Gaming Champion, and that's coming up in April, right? Before we get to EverCon, I want to talk about your championship that you currently hold. I know it means the world to you. Has anybody updated you on who's going to be in that match? Who you're going to be going against to defend that Midwest Gaming Champion? It's right around the corner, man. It's a month and a half away. You ought to be getting pumped up for that. I see you in the gym all the time, man. You're getting bigger. You're getting better. Are you ready for to defend your title up there?
Oh, most definitely. I've had this mindset after I lost my second championship opportunity when I got eliminated from I believe it was United States Championship Scramble / it was like a tournament style wrestling show. And after AMB beat me, I don't know, man. I felt like almost like I didn't belong in wrestling anymore. Like and I decided to take some time away from that for a few months and kind of focus on myself and take all of my frustrations out in the gym to keep going hard, to keep pushing myself. There's no way I want to just give everything up that I've worked so hard for the last 2.5 years, just because I lost a couple of title opportunities. And hearing from Jeff Leibengood, who who is known for playing Guile in Street Fighter 2. And also hearing from Greg Smith, who played Barry Burton in the original Resident Evil 96.
Right.
And their encouraging words to me just kind of lifted me up in a way that I didn't think I'd be able to get back up to. I just felt like before my match on November 4th, or I think it was the 4th, with MCW, like I felt like I was, in the best shape that I could be in. I felt like I could wrestle 4 or 5 matches on a single card if I wanted to. But I'll tell you what, AMB, he really took me to my limit, as well as VIP did. He wore me out. He's a big guy. I didn't think I stood a chance, but I just kept that fighting spirit within myself, and I ended up beating him to get to AMB. But I'll give credit where credit's due, and I want to thank AMB, VIP, even though VIP is an asshole. I want to thank him for pushing me, and I want to thank everybody in that locker room too for kind of keeping my spirits lifted during the time that I was away. And no, it's no offense to Jimmy Smooth or anything, or Oscar for that matter. I just needed to focus on myself, and I wanted to make myself even better than before. And now that I have that mindset to where I'm not going to be happy or settle for what I have now, because I know I can bring myself even further than what I was.
I will tell you this, Johnny. I know that promotion MCW, AMB, man. If you had nothing to put your head down about, man, that guy, that boy, you just said it. He can go. He puts his body out there, and so there's no shame in that game, man. There's no shame that I would not hold your head. I'm glad that you took that a couple months off and got back into the game, because you are a good guy. You're a good wrestler. You have lots to offer to fans. And I would hope that after this weekend, you could keep the dream going for you. But I want to pause there. You mentioned the name VIP. I don't like, I'm known to stir the pot a bit, but I wonder if VIP Johnny Cass should meet on Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast for Friday Night Fights to air your differences. Would you be willing to do that if VIP would be willing to do that?
Oh, definitely.
Maybe I need to reach out to Jimmy Smooth, MCW, Oscar. Maybe we can set that up. Maybe we can throw AMB in the mix and share our thoughts and differences. I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to host it if y'all are willing to come on.
Yeah, definitely. I'm all for it. I have to make sure I have the time for it as well.
All right.
As you know, this past weekend, I made a post on my Johnny Cass Facebook page about having, let's just say there was more than 6 people that have their own podcasts that were reaching out to me to come on and to interview me about this past weekend and about what's coming up. I'm currently in the works of working stuff out with those guys as well. As it's going to be a busy month leading up to the Midwest Gaming Classic, and I am really looking forward to doing these podcasts and getting everybody excited and just talking about the amazing experiences that I have, and that everyone else that's going to be attending this event that they can have too.
Awesome, man. And Johnny Cass is a convention guy. He loves gaming conventions. I'm excited. I get to go to my first wrestling convention in June. I've got the River City Wrestling Convention in St. Augustine. I have a vendor table there. So if they're as half as good as what you say they are, I'm super pumped. So talk to us about why are conventions so important to you?
Conventions are so important to me because, especially anything that has to do with pop culture or video games, I guess you could technically say that's a part of pop culture. As a kid growing up for myself, I didn't really have. I don't want to bring anything down, but I didn't have the normal home life that I guess most people would have, and that was my escape. Like watching certain cartoon shows, wrestling, TV shows, whether it be video games, and video games most importantly, because I felt like when I was a kid growing up, if you remember back in the 80s and 90s, people were trying to say, oh, well, Mortal Kombat's a bad game or Street Fighter is a bad game because it's violent and it will make other kids violent and they'll want to like fight other kids in school.
Right.
When in my eyes at the time, I didn't realize it until I got a little bit older. It was those types of games and TV shows and wrestling that took me out of my reality that I was living in and brought me into this virtual reality to where I could play a hero through a Nintendo game, or I could live through one of my favorite wrestlers such as Jeff Hardy, because he stood out. He was different from everybody, and I felt like I was different from everybody in my school. And I saw Jeff Hardy. I saw my 10-year-old self through Jeff Hardy's eyes.
Right.
And that's what made me such a fan of his. And I mean, it's the same thing with gaming. Like, the reason why I collect the stuff that I collect for is because it's like a reminder. And this is what I'm teaching my kids too, because they're always like, well, why do you have all this old stuff? It's a reminder of where I came from and what I overcame, and what this certain game or that certain movie or that certain TV show, what it helped me go through at that time in my point in time of life.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
So
100%.
yeah,
And
Jeff, real quick, just being able to interact with some of these guys that are at these conventions, they absolutely love hearing these stories. Like, that's what makes them appreciate their not just us, but appreciate their own work even more. And it's just awesome. And the connections that you might be able to make with these guys, it will just be an unforgettable experience for anybody, for kids, for adults, for elderly, for whoever. Whoever's a fan of anything, I would suggest going to these cons.
Absolutely, man. And you said something, you use games to escape. I use this podcast as an escape from reality. You got to have some kind of self-care, and I can relate to what you said about video games being bad and stuff. One of my sons used to play Pokemon and Magic the Gathering, and I was told by people, oh, he's going to become these people. And I'm like, no, at least he's not out partying on a Friday, Saturday night. He's home where I can see him playing a game. It's a simple game, and it just makes you feel better and good to step away from reality when life gets hard, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. So I got some pictures from this weekend that I want to just show up real quick, then we can talk about the weekend, because you were at the NRW convention this weekend, and here's some pictures. You just won a belt there. It looks like you won the tag belt. Emotions, and
definitely.
The picture I got from you Saturday night, man, right here. One proud guy, man. You ought to be proud of that. So walk us through from day one to day 2 or 3, whenever it ended, all the way from the emotions you felt at day one to the highs and the lows and the highs, and what you took away from that.
So day one, I didn't know exactly what to expect, and I was excited. I was happy. I was really excited on meeting Andy for the first time, because I've heard about him and I've seen some of his work, and we meshed really well, I believe, and that just made it more comfortable tagging with him during our match. And I guess from what I was told, we were the third match on the card. And when we were starting the show up, we had about maybe 15 people in the seats. But by the time our match came up there, we had about maybe, I think, 50 people come in. And that's when I knew that we were going to have to go hard in this match. And we definitely did. And we both gave it everything that we've got. And we came out on top night one, and just celebrating there, with the fans, with my win. As soon as I got that belt handed to me, and you'll see that picture of me when I'm just like laying my head on that belt. It's just I dedicated that win right there, that picture. Yeah, I dedicated that win to my grandfather, who was a ex boxing champion, and he was well known all over Iowa, Wisconsin, and Illinois. And he had a chance to go pro, but he decided not to because he wanted to start a family with my grandma.
Wow.
And I do wish he would have been here to see that. But I mean, I know he was there in spirit and he was rooting for me, even though when I was growing up, he would ask me all the time, why do I like that fake ass bullshit on TV? But, it was just an amazing experience for me. And just, yeah, that dedicated that win to my grandfather and my friend who, also was like a little brother to me that passed away back in 2010.
Man, I love that story because it's hard. It's got to be hard to do the daily grind, work your job, your real job, get to the gym, get to wherever, keep your wrestling, keep the training going, and to have a goal and have a drive like a grandfather that was a boxer and a champion and a friend that passed away. That are the type of things that people don't realize that wrestlers go through on a daily, and they hear your story about that's what motivated you because 2 months ago you were ready to quit. I see that video. You're like, I don't know, man. I'm done. I don't know. And I was like, man, what's going on with this guy? What's going on in your world? And now you shared that story, and I understand that now. But now this win that you had, on Saturday, does that give you a boost of encouragement, a motivation to finish the year?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
Okay.
it definitely does. And what was really really cool about that is, after my win, I went to go to my table where all of my 8x10s and merchandise was, and sitting right next to my table was Andrew Everett from TNA back
Nice.
when Dixie Carter was there.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, and he told me that he watched my match. I'm sorry, and he gave me some pointers, some very very minor pointers, and he told me some stuff that I needed to work on, which I already knew, which is my footwork, my placement, etc. And he was like, other than that, it was a banger of a match. And he's like, I really felt like you guys set the tone. And that to me just meant the world to me, because it shows that my hard work and dedication that I've been putting into the gym and practice for the last 2 months is paying off, at least to a certain extent. Even if it's just by a little bit, it doesn't matter. It's just hearing that from someone that's been in the business for 24 plus years,
Absolutely.
telling me that my match was pretty good. All I got to do is work on my foot placement and etc. Like, impressing him
Yeah.
like that means the world to me. And
I mean,
I do feel, with everything that he talked to me about before the match and after the match and when the show was over with, like, it kind of made me better.
yeah,
It really did. Mentally made me better.
100%. Yeah. I mean, you talk about winning and losing, hearing that from a ex wrestler from TNA, that's pretty impressive. Well, you could have lost the match and heard that, and that would still been a win for you.
Oh yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, that's going to be like Cody Rhodes come WrestleMania when he loses to The Rock or to Roman Reigns. Just hearing that was a good match from The Rock, I think Cody Rhodes ought to be thankful that that's all it was, even though he didn't win the belt, right? So I just hope Cody Rhodes gets to listen to this so he can be encouraged that even if he loses, it's okay.
It is.
I had to throw that in there for all those Cody crybabies, but anyway, we'll go on from there. So night one was awesome. A high, you win that belt, and you go on the next day to the convention. You're hanging out with people, and then you're up to again. Can you walk us through day two?
All right, so there was two different shows on night two, and the second show, or the first show, night 2, was a battle royal, and it was great. I got to do some stuff that I haven't done before, and they allowed me to do that. So I want to thank Red and the people behind NRW as well for letting me try out some of the stuff that I asked beforehand, see if I'd be able to do it. And it got a loud pop, which was really, really, that was the first time, I want to say that was the first time I've heard the loudest pop.
Nice.
Doing a big move like that. I'm not going to say what it was. You guys have to go to No Regrets Wrestling's YouTube channel, subscribe, and wait for the videos to come up on there to watch it, and then you can see what I did. Unfortunately, I got eliminated probably, I want to say 2 or 3 minutes when I was in the Rumble. I didn't expect to get thrown out right away. I would have still have been in the Rumble if it wasn't for the rope pinching my stomach, feeling like my flesh was being ripped off. I had to let go of the ropes and fall to the floor. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure I would have had a big giant gash on my abdomen.
So was it a huge pop? What the movie you did?
Oh yeah.
All right.
So, huge pop, no pun intended.
No pun intended. Okay.
And then I want to say I didn't realize this was going on when I was back in the locker room. I knew Daddy Andy was still in there, my tag team partner, and apparently after he got eliminated, my opponent for later that night, he ended up annihilating Daddy Andy's ankle with a steel chair.
Wow.
To the point where he could not be there for the rest of the show. So he ended up taking him out because he was jealous of us becoming the tag team champions. He was jealous because Reboot, that's our tag team name, Reboot, a couple of guys like us won the championships.
So what's this guy's name?
He's from Canada. I can't remember, but then again, that should also tell you guys something about him.
Do you have anything to say to him? I mean, do you want to face him down the road? Is that something you want to put on him? Do you want him to come to the Midwest Gaming Championship and say, "Hey, let's go, guy"? Or are you going to revisit NRW? What's your plans regarding that asshole, as I think you call it, or whatever? That's VIP. I'm sorry, but this guy after this convention. What's your words for him? Anything?
My words for him is that definitely be on the lookout because we are going to be coming back and we are going to be challenging you at some point this year. You can bet on that. Once Andy gets cleared, it's game time for us.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So what a weekend, man. Highs and lows. Had a championship, had a tag team champion, lost the belt by a fluke injury. You really didn't. It's one of those things, you really didn't lose the belt in a match. You lost it because your guy couldn't go.
Well, we were. It was supposed to be a celebration at the start of the second show on day 2. I was upset. I came out. I took the microphone from the announcer and I addressed the situation to the fans. And it sucks that the fans had to miss out on the celebration, on celebrating with us. But I had to find a replacement. I didn't want to be out there all by myself dancing around. So before I get into this, I talked to management. I talked to Red and seeing if I could possibly have a replacement just for that night. And he said, yeah, we can let you do that. So I decided to choose an up and comer, someone I never heard of before. Yeah, there's veterans in the back. Yeah, we have Andrew Everett. I could have chose him. But I wanted to choose someone that was up and coming, someone that I'd never heard of before. And I talked to this kid and he was like, yeah, I'll definitely do it. It'd be an honor. So I went out there and I addressed the crowd on what happened, what was going on. And then I said, well, I'm not going to do this alone. I wish Daddy Andy a speedy recovery. But for right now, my replacement was none other than Kid Lat.
Okay.
And this kid is like a superhero, man. He can move and he can go and he can fly. Anything that you can think of, this kid can do.
Awesome, man.
So while we were in the ring, and like almost as soon as I put the belt on his shoulder, just so he could be a champion with me for a while, the guy that took out my partner shows up with his partner, and this other guy with like like a D&D book or a Necronomicon book or something of the sort, and he was challenging us for the titles. I got a little over ahead of myself. I wasn't going to at first, but I decided, you know what, in honor of Daddy Andy, I have to do it. I have to do something. Because even though it was our first time teaming up, I have to show these guys that we are who we say we are. And it doesn't matter how we look, how we dress, how we act. Anybody can become a champion. And that's what I am about. And that's what I'm about showing everybody out there in the crowd, especially the kids, because I know there's people out there that got bullied around just like I did, just like Daddy Andy did.
Absolutely.
So that night, I want to say I got a little too hyped up near the end of the match, thinking that I had him in the palm of my hand. And I'm not going to really say too much on what happened because I would rather have everybody watch the show when it gets uploaded on YouTube to watch for themselves. But they ended up taking the victory. They ended up taking the belts from us. But that's not going to get us down. At the end of the match, I showed my respect to Kid Lat. He was very, very, very cool, very calm after our loss. And I had to show my respect to him too. So we hugged it out at the end in the ring, and everybody just went nuts. It was an amazing experience that I won't forget. Kind of like the experience that I get when I perform out there in front of everybody at the Midwest Gaming Classic. It's those types of matches and those types of people and fans that make it memorable for me.
Absolutely, man. You're a father of a couple kids, and the mindset that you have or had that night must stand out to your kids. You must be a proud dad to your kids that they see this type of emotion from their father, just like the fans, just like the young crowd that you wrestle in front of. A gaming classic tells me that the crowd must have been in the younger ages, you know. And to have that mindset and have that maturity level that you have in the business of wrestling, and when you lose, you don't give up. You show them that there's perseverance, that you can get through it, and that you just get up, brush it off. That's a good characteristic to have, Johnny Cass. It really is, man. So.
Oh yeah, man. It's without the fans, we're nothing. We're absolutely nothing.
Absolutely.
There are guys out there, wrestlers out there that really don't care about the fans, and they're just there to make the money, and that's fine. Because the guys like myself will always show them up, even if you bring us down and steal a victory or take a victory from us. In the words of the great Jeff Libengood, Guile from Street Fighter 2, loss is just another step towards victory.
Yeah. And I can tell you, man, I'm impressed because back in November when I seen that video, or near the end of the year, and with you just getting ready to be done with it, compared to now, even after a loss, even in March when you took that loss, your mindset is the total complete opposite. So I'm glad that to see you have that mindset. I'm glad to see Johnny Cass is back. I'm excited to hear about what's going on for the rest of 2024 for you, man.
Oh yeah, there'll be more announcements coming out here soon, and I want everyone to know as well. I'm trying to tell my story on my TikTok videos that I'm also going to be sharing on my other social media platforms. So anybody who is following me and can actually see me in person perform, they'll have a more of a better understanding of who Johnny Cass is.
Right. Right, and Johnny Cash, man, he does put up the videos. He does. He's not afraid to show the work that he's putting in. the grind that this wrestling business has for Johnny Cass and every other wrestler out there. It's not easy being a professional wrestler, is it, Johnny?
Oh no, it takes up a lot of your time. Like Huge Pop was saying, I got 2 jobs that I work, one full time and one part time during the week, and in between those, I only have about maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours to work out and train, and that pretty much eats up. I work pretty much about, I want to say, 18 to 19 hours every day, and I barely get any. I probably get maybe like 5 or 6 hours of sleep, but that's my life Monday through Friday, and then every other weekend I'm a dad, and then when I'm not a dad on those weekends, I'm either doing interviews or putting more content out on my social medias, or I'm traveling to shows.
Absolutely. Let's touch a little bit on some other things that Johnny Cass does. I'm missing this. I watched it once. You went to this ghost asylum or whatever. Are you still dabbing in that spooky house stuff?
Yeah, when I have the time, I wanna do some more of that stuff, because I think, there's a few people out there that have talked to me saying that that kind of thing was cool, especially with other guys in the business. And you never know, maybe I'll bring one of those guys or a few of those guys with me when I find out some more places to go to investigate.
Nice, man. And I brought that up because I want to make sure people know, fans know, that wrestling isn't just getting in the ring every other weekend or every weekend. These guys have lives. These guys put their body on the line to entertain us fans. It's not easy. They have to work to be able to travel to these jobs because they don't get paid a lot of money. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this, you guys that are watching this. I'm not gonna ask Johnny Cash to say, hey, how much did you make? That's none of my business, right? Because what these guys need to do, what these guys need from us fans is the support, is to go to their websites, go to their Facebook pages, and click on that link that says buy a t-shirt, right? Because that's what gets Johnny Cash to the next stop. Buy the merch, view his content, subscribe to his pages, subscribe to Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast YouTube channel. That's what gets me to get guys like Johnny Cass on this show, because we want to support each other. He supports me. I support him. That's what we do in the wrestling business. And I want people that hear that. Johnny Cass puts his butt on the line. And for what? Because he loves the fans. Am I right? Did I get that all right?
I love the fans, and I love the business and everything to do with wrestling. And like I could, if I could do it on a 4 to 5 night week basis, I definitely would. Just because it's the fans that make us who we are. It's just up to us to decide on how we're going to represent ourselves.
And here's Pop fan is Gina. Gina, how you doing tonight, Gina? Yes, Huge Pop is interviewing
Hi, Gina.
Johnny Cass. So it is about the fans, man. And we were gonna do this show last night. I'm gonna talk about this other topic, then we're gonna get back to Johnny Cass to finish the show. We were gonna do this show last night, but I messaged him and Johnny said, hey man, something's happening big on Sunday night. No wrestling fan ought to miss it. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I forgot about that. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. So I went out and bought the pay-per-view, AEW Revolution, Sting's last match. My friend, what'd you think about that match?
I lost my shit when there was like 2 or 3 other Stings that came out and did their shit. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And it was emotional. I'm not going to lie. I didn't grow up watching Sting. I didn't grow up watching WCW. Like, I knew of it. I watched a couple of Nitros before and Thunders, but I was mainly a WWF guy. But as I got older, I kind of like branched out and started watching WCW a little bit here and a little bit there. And then I heard that, Sting's in TNA. And that's when I actually started appreciating Sting for what he's done, because I didn't realize how many types of different Stings there were.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is crazy. This is like Chris Jericho-esque.
Yeah.
And like he's done a lot of work over the years. And I understand where everyone comes from when they're talking about, Sting's last match and how emotional that they get, because, he truly is a legend in the business. And this is, as David LaGreca said on Busted Open, like that, this is an end of an era. Like
Absolutely.
truly.
Absolutely. Man, but you're right. Seeing Sting, and I didn't realize until they said it, I didn't realize he had two sons, and they're the ones that came out as Surfer Sting and NWO Red Sting.
Yeah.
And then to see them do the Stinger splash in the corner, just like Daddy, I'm like, what? So I was like, I was pumped. And I was talking to somebody, and I mean, I believe every spot in that match was necessary. They were telling a story of the beating and the perseverance that Sting went throughout his whole career.
Yeah, every spot made sense.
Yes, everybody's complaining about the Darby Allin spot when he went through the glass. Was that necessary? Yeah, in my opinion, it was necessary because it just showed to see that he's willing to do what his idol did, and I went nuts when I seen that. I'm like, no, he's not. No, he's not. And he did. And
The only thing I really would have to say anything about that, like if there's people that didn't like how Darby Allin went through glass, glass has always been a part, whether anybody likes it or not, it's always been a part of professional wrestling, not just in death matches, but in other matches too. Like, if that's something that they don't like, then just don't watch. That's all I got to
exactly.
say about that, pretty much.
Same thing as Moxley bleeding all the time. If you don't like it, don't watch it. You can't
Yeah.
bash. You can't bash the performer. If you don't like it, don't watch it. And I don't know. I think you're right. I think we're going to see a end of an era come WrestleMania as well. I
think so. I think so too. I think what's going to happen real quick at WrestleMania is that at some point we're going to have Stone Cold come out and we're going to have like a face-to-face with Stone Cold and The Rock, and I think that's gonna pop huge. Huge.
Yes. I think you're going to see Triple H come out. I think it's going to be a passing of the torch-esque, but an end of an era, and you're going to see it all. I don't think any fan out here can say they know exactly what's going to happen. I have my opinions, and it's not that show. It's Johnny Cass's show, but I think you're going to hear an end of an era there too. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one, but it was just the only thing that made me mad about last night is they cut the feed off. I went through Bleacher Report, and Bleacher Report cut the feed off as Sting was giving his speech. And I was like, no, dang you guys, and I don't know. Everybody bashes Tony Khan, which is all right. It's their opinion, and that's fine. But if Sting would have lost, I would have been a little bit upset. I don't care. To this point, I don't really care how they're going to handle the tag titles going forward, whether it be a tournament or not. Bash Tony Khan all you want, but that man giving Sting the win, that was class act, in my opinion.
It truly was. And I'm glad that they ended it the way they did, because they ended it on a very high note, saying that, Sting did retire as a champion. And yes. I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think the WWE has ever had that happen to any of their legends before.
I don't think so. You're right. Not that I can think of, man. So that was Sting. The future for Johnny Cass at an NRW event, does that look promising?
We'll see what happens. Was told by Red that we'll be in touch and we will be in contact soon. And I'm hoping that I impressed everybody there within NRW especially with their talent and their creative and the guy that runs NRW, to the point where they want me to come back almost on a normal basis. I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to travel, whatever it takes. I want to try and get back out there as much as possible this year.
So as a wrestler, Johnny Cass, the main goal for big picture would be to make it to the TV platforms, I guess. I don't know what you want to call it. But how important is indie wrestling to you as wrestlers and to the fans? I hate when people say, "Oh, indie wrestling is just the rookies." Well, it's not really, to my opinion. There's more legends in the indie circuit than there is. So, is it a stepping stone? Do you have to make it to the bigs to be satisfied and with your career?
I will quote what WWE legend Gangrel David Heath told me. Enjoy the road, the whole ride there before you get to the top, because once you get to the top, where else are you going to go? And he was right. He is right. And I was also told this similar thing by other guys that have been in the WWE before. I think if I had to retire tomorrow, I would be happy with the way I represented myself out there in front of everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm happy where I'm at right now. I've never been in the best shape of my life. I still got a little work to do, of course. Everybody could be better. But I feel like without the indies, especially, they want to say, well, it's for the rookies. You got to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. It doesn't matter if WWE out there says, oh, well, we're only taking in college athletes and people under 30 and no midgets. I mean, if that's what their take is, that's completely fine. There's other promotions out there that are willing to give guys like me a chance to shine and to show what we're capable of.
Right. So you've gotten advice, from Austin Aries, and I'm Busted Open. They left you with some advice that's similar to what I just was asking about. Can you share what those people told you as to encourage you?
Austin Aries, when I met him, I asked him, I was like, well, I wanted to say I was about 30 years old at the time. And I asked him, I was like, how would you feel about someone my age? And I've asked this question numerous times because I wanted to be sure, to guys that were in the business, such as Eric Bischoff, to Cold Scorpio, and Austin Aries, and D'Lo Brown. So the question I asked him was, what would you think about someone such as myself being 30 years old and in the shape that I'm in? I'm not big, I'm not small, but I was in decent shape. And he said, well, if your body can handle it, if you can hit those ropes and you can take those bumps and you can take those punches and kicks and slams and you're fine after that, why not go for it? Why not? That's something that I'll never forget. And that is something that I'll pass on to anybody who asks me about, hey, do you think I'd have what it takes being a certain age? And if you ever want to try to find out, it doesn't ever hurt to talk with the local promoter, being like, hey, I'm interested in becoming a wrestler. I just want to see if my body can go through that. Would it be okay for me to come in to your school and just taking a couple of bumps or hitting the ropes, for like a minute, seeing if you can do it?
Yeah. And then you had that Busted Open conversation a couple months ago.
Oh yeah.
How'd they leave you with that? That was what they said to you, what you told me they said to you has stuck in my mind. That everybody, even as podcasters, should pay attention to this. What'd they say to you?
There was a lot of stuff that was said to me. Could you refresh my memory a little bit?
I think the lady on this show at the end, I think she said she gave you words of encouragement.
Yes. Yes.
I
Okay.
remember
So what she said to me was she was for those who don't know, I had some health issues, and I overcame those health issues. And I told her my story a little bit, when I was being interviewed on Busted Open. And when the show was nearing to its end, um, she suggested that I should go and to my kids' schools and maybe ask them if they would like to have me as like a speaker of sort for an assembly, and tell everybody there, all of the kids, my story, from growing up and then having severe health issues, overcoming that, getting back on my feet, and shooting for the stars, following my dream. And that kind of really, really stuck with me and encouraged me to try to do something of that sort.
Follow your dreams. Yes.
Yep.
Stick to your guns. Stick to stick to the process. The process is what got Johnny Cass out of that state of mind where I'm not going to win anymore. Should I do this? Should I keep on doing this? Pay attention to what Johnny Cass did. From what I can recolate, what Johnny Cass did was he wiped off the dust. He picked himself up, and he continued. He put in the work because he remembers these things that Austin Aries, like Busted Open, they all said to him. And that's why we're having Johnny Cass on the show right now, because he was so excited about the convention, his tag team title win. And he's like, okay, yeah, we lost it, but we're not going away. So with that said, Johnny, can you close the show? Tell the fans where they can get your stuff. If there's any shots that need to be fired at VIP or whatever, God, we will make that interview happen. So Jimmy Smooth, if you watch this, Oscar, if you watch this going forward, we need to get VIP and Johnny Cass on the show doing Friday night fights. So yes, before we go, Actions No Distractions on the show. What's up? Thank you, Actions No Distractions. Please hit the follow button on my YouTube channel. We'd love to have it. Helps us continue getting guys like Johnny Cass on here. I appreciate you following it. So Johnny Cass, close the show in Johnny Cass fashion. Shots fired. We're gonna get that VIP on here. We're gonna talk about what he did, and then we're gonna play some entrance closing music. And I'd love to talk to you real quick in the green room. So go ahead, man. It's all you.
All right. Well, first of all, anybody can find me on my social media, searching Johnny Cass. Or if they want a shirt from my Pro Wrestling Tees store, it's just, prowrestlingtees.com/Johnny Cass. You can find it on there. And for other merch or limited edition merch, you'd have to go to the shows to get. And as far as VIP, I would love to chat with him. It's been a while since I have talked to him about our last match. And regardless of what he thinks of me or if he's still an asshole, I would still like to, either way, thank him for pushing me to my limit and overcoming all of my doubts during that match, hitting him with my finisher, the Blast Processor, and scoring the victory. And if you want to come on the show with me on Friday night, what was it? Friday Night Fights?
Friday Night Fights, yes.
Okay, if you ever want to come on that show with me, Friday Night Fights, I'm more than willing to join it.
Awesome, man. So there you go, Johnny Cass fans, huge Pop Wrestling Podcast fans, VIP. You might want to pay attention. I'll search you out, VIP. I know connections that know you, so let's try to make this happen. Johnny Cass, it's been a pleasure hearing your story. I'm happy for what happened on this weekend for you. I know you'll brush it off, pick it up, and you'll get those tag team titles back. I know you will. Good luck at the Midwest Gaming Championship in April. I know you'll do well. Huge Pop Wrestling fans. Until tonight, for another Monday night interview again, we have James Wiggins, I think, is on the show tonight from Iowa or Illinois. He's an indie wrestler. So thank you again, Johnny Cass. Meet me in the room.
All my dogs, make some noise up in this house.
is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the grind. Cause when your body hits the canvas, then your head is knocked out. Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the grind. Cause when your body hits the canvas, then your head is knocked out.
Fight with Adrian Whisper is like a fight with the devil, because when he's dealing with you, you cannot get on this level.
Fight with Adrian Whisper, it's like a fight with a king. It's like a fight with an army, they got the tanks and everything.
He's leaving bruises and stitches, possibly leaving you crippled, cause when he sets up the table and sends you straight through the middle.
Six sadistic free, beat that ass with a light bulb. Leave a piece of glass embedded in the back of your skull. Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the ground. Cause when your body hits the canvas, then your ass is knocked out. Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then